Hi guys, this is Teacher Anna once again. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be learning another grammar lesson. So I hope that you stick around and learn with me today. Okay? Do you know how to appropriately use the simple and progressive tenses of the verb in your sentences? Why don't you join me in today's lesson? Let's get started. Now let's study the simple tenses of the verb, beginning with the present tense. Let's scrutinize the verb structure in the following sentence. I clean the window every weekend. I clean the window every weekend is in the present tense that speaks about habitual action. The habit being mentioned is cleaning the window every weekend. Now, what things do you habitually do? Let's have the following examples. Number 1. She goes to church every Sunday. Number 2. We travel abroad every year. Number 3. I take a bath every day. For singular subject except I and you, we basically add s or es to the verb, like in example number 1. Goes. She goes to church every Sunday. For plural subjects, we retain the base form of the verb, just like in number 2, travel. We travel abroad every year. Exception to the rule are I and singular you, pronouns which require the base form of the verb, just like in number 3, I take a bath every day. These are examples of the simple present tense. Again, this tense talks about habitual action. The second tense is called past tense. Let's pay attention to the verb structure in the following sentence. I cleaned the window yesterday. I cleaned the window yesterday is in the past tense that talks about a completed action at a specific time in the past, meaning the action was started and ended in the past. Let us consider the following sentences. The family went to New York last year. They talked about their grades a week ago. Adverbs of time that belong in this category are yesterday, last night, last week, last year, a month ago, and so on and so forth. What about the verb structure? Irregular verbs in the past tense have a different form, just like went in sentence number 1. The family went to New York last year. Regular verbs, on the other hand, are added d or ed after the verb to signify the simple past tense, just like in the example talked. They talked about their grades a week ago. These are examples of the simple past tense. Now let's focus on the simple future tense. Study the following sentence. I will clean the window tomorrow. I will clean the window tomorrow is in the future tense. This particular tense speaks about actions that are yet to happen, meaning the action is to be carried out in the future. Let us consider the following sentences. Number 1. Mandy will book a flight tonight. Gary shall see you next week. Number 3. We will think about your proposal. What is the verb structure for this tense? We use the auxiliary verbs will and shall plus the base form of the verb in constructing sentences in the future tense. The verb will means to express determination or willfulness. Shall, on the other hand, means expressing a strong assertion or intention. The use of either will or shall depends on the meaning you wish to convey to others. Now let's focus on sentence number 2. Gary shall see you next week. In this sentence, Gary expresses his strong assertion or intention to see the person next week, perhaps regardless of the weather or untoward incidents. Gary is sure about his intention to see the person. So that is the future tense. Moving on, let's now talk about the progressive tenses of the verb. Let's scrutinize the verb structure in the following sentence. I am listening to music. The progressive tense is a verb tense that indicates a continuing action or an action in progress. It can be conjugated to be used in the present, past, or future. Now, what is the present progressive tense? The present progressive expresses actions that are happening now or that are in progress. To form the present progressive, we have the subject plus am, is, or are plus the present participle form of the verb or the ing form. The present progressive is used to express actions that are happening now. For example, Maria is watching television. She is doing her assignment. So it means the actions are happening at the moment of speaking. It's happening now. Watching television, doing the assignment. These actions are happening now. What about actions that are in progress? For example, you are choreographing a dance. I am gathering data for my research paper. So here, actions are in progress. You are choreographing a dance, and it's not yet completed. You are gathering data for your research paper, and it's not yet completed. It's still in progress. So, when we express actions that are happening now or are in progress, we use the present progressive tense. Now, the present progressive tense can also be used for future events, like when you say, I am going to the supermarket tomorrow. I am attending the party tonight. Now, what about the past progressive tense? The past progressive expresses events that lasted for a duration of time in the past, maybe from this time in the past to this time in the past. How to form the past progressive tense? We have the subject plus was or were plus present participle or the ing form of the verb. The past progressive is used to express, number one, duration. For example, I was reading. They were eating. Maybe you were reading for, let's say, 10 minutes in the past. So from minute number 1 up to minute 10, you were reading. So this is an example of duration. And what about eating? They were eating. So maybe last night or the other day, you were eating for like 15 minutes. And it was a duration from minute number 1 until the last minute. So you were eating. That's an example of duration. Another thing, interrupted actions in progress, meaning there are two actions involved, the first action and the second action. The first action is being interrupted by the second action. Okay? But both of these actions were happening in the past, or both of these actions happened in the past. For example, I was reading when he arrived. So this means that you are actually reading when the person or somebody arrived. So the first action here is reading, and the second action is arrived. So the first action, reading, in the past was interrupted by the action arrived, which is the second action. Let's have another example. He was sleeping when his friend called. So there are two actions in the past here, sleeping and called. So you were actually sleeping when your friend called. So the action sleeping was interrupted by the second action, which is called. So that's again interrupted actions in progress. One action after another. Okay, now let's move on. Actions happening at the same time. Now here it's different. There are two actions happening at the same time. They are both happening at the same time. For example, I was lying on the bed while I was reading, meaning you're both lying on the bed and reading. Next, she was singing while she was taking a bath. That means you're taking a bath and at the same time singing. But all these actions were happening in the past. Okay. Another thing, polite question. For example, you would like to ask somebody in a polite way. You can use the past progressive tense to mean expressing a polite question. For example, he was wondering if you could assist him. Meaning the person here wants to ask somebody if it's possible that he could assist him. So you can say, he was wondering if you could assist him. Another one, I was thinking if you could accompany me to the doctor. So this is a polite say of saying, I wanted you to come with me when I wanted to go to the doctor. So you say, I was thinking if you could accompany me to the doctor. Again, this polite question happened in the past or was progressing in the past. All right. So that's about the past progressive tense. Okay, now let's have the future progressive tense. The future progressive usually expresses actions that will be happening. The subject will be in progress doing at some point in the future. Now, how do we form the future progressive tense? So we have the subject plus will be plus the present participle or the ing form of the verb. The future progressive is used to express future actions in progress, meaning the actions in the future will be progressing. Okay, for example, I will be finishing college next year. So this means that next year, finishing your college will be in progress. Another, they will be taking a vacation soon. Okay, so again, the actions in the future progressive tense are actually actions that will be in progress at some point in the future. Okay, so that's about the future progressive tense. Right, guys, now this is one way to test your understanding or your comprehension about the lesson. So this time, I want you to answer a test about the simple and progressive tenses of the verb. But before that, let's review the concepts we have just learned. Okay? So number one, the present tense speaks about habitual action. The past tense talks about a completed action at a specific time in the past, while the future tense speaks about actions that are yet to happen. What about progressive tenses? The present progressive tense is used to express actions that are happening and actions that are in progress. The past progressive expresses events that lasted for a duration of time in the past, or are interrupted actions in progress, or actions happening at the same time, and polite question. Last but not the least, the future progressive usually expresses actions that will be happening at some point in the future. So, are you ready for the test? Okay, give it your best shot. Now, I want you to check your answers. So this time I'm going to be revealing all the answers. So I hope you get a perfect score. Now, here are the answers. Thank you guys for patronizing my channel. Special thanks to Mr. Dines Salaga. Your request has just been granted, sir. Catch my next video on the perfect and perfect progressive tenses of the verb. To those who have not subscribed yet, think about hitting the subscribe button for free access to my language tutorials. In case you have special lesson requests, don't hesitate to post a comment. Once again, just letting you know that English is for everybody, native and non-native speakers alike. Make it your goal to learn it at your own pace while having a productive yet fun-filled day like today. So see you again next time. God bless.